Justice Anderson, in a previous segment, you said that the Senate is not doing its job. But is it proper to hold confirmation hearings during an election year?
Well, your question is it proper to hold them during election year? Yes. It's probably a matter of timing and when the vacancy occurs. This vacancy occurred the end of January. And there's plenty of time for the Senate to act. And by failing to act, it's probably going to leave a vacancy on the court that could be up to 18 months. No. The Senate has an obligation to act, and it should have acted. There's plenty of time for it to hold hearings this past spring and decide yes or no. Allow the hearings to go forward. They can vote no. Then the president would have to nominate somebody else. As it gets later in the political season, you know, right during the national conventions or the heat of the fall election, maybe then it would be advisable to postpone until after the November elections. But no, there's plenty of time for them to act.
Is there a Biden rule that is sometimes cited by Senator Grassley, Senator Johnson, or others?
So you are citing to what the Senate leadership says, that there is a Biden rule and that's their justification for not holding hearings. Now, this is a point that I want to make when we're talking about the political landscape, is that the juxtaposition of honesty and integrity. I mean, you see a lot of this in the political ads. You can have political ads that they're honest, they're meticulous honest, but they're completely lacking in integrity. There is some honesty to what the Republicans are saying with respect to what President Biden, Vice President Biden said, but I believe it lacks integrity, and I'll tell you why. First of all, the statement was made by then Senator Biden, as he was head of the Judiciary Committee. It was made in June, not in January or February. There was no Supreme Court vacancy at the time. There was not one that was anticipated, but he was concerned in the ebb and flow of the election where President George H.W. Bush was seeking re-election. It would not be well during, the end of the summer or the fall to hold hearings. But it's a different circumstance now. There is a vacancy that occurred in early 2016, and it lacks context, and I would believe that it lacks integrity. And also you need to look at what was going on at the time. I mean, as late as May, the Judiciary Committee was approving judicial appointments. Our own district court judge, federal district court judge, Sarge Kyle, was approved with 4 other people in May of 1992. So I think it's a canard. It's a little bit of a red herring drawn across the trail of the Senate's duty to cite the Biden rule. And by doing this, I believe what they're, as I said earlier, is that being dysfunctional and not only spreading the dysfunction that's existing in the Senate and causing people dismayed with how that body does its job, it's going to spread dysfunction to how people view this Supreme Court. And that bothers me. That bothers me terribly, because people need to respect their institutions of government, particularly an institution like the Supreme Court. And it's the Biden rule is not justification for what the Senate is doing. That is failing to act.
Justice Paul H. Anderson, retired Justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court, thank you for clarifying some of these very important judicial issues.